Today on the Tackle HD podcast, we have Tyler Cokley from Chum Boys Outdoors. We'll talk creek fishing, kayak fishing, and find out what he feels are the top 5 baits for catching smallmouth bass in the Midwest. Plus, we have your mid-June fishing reports for Lake of the Ozarks, Tablerock, and Truman Lake. First up, here's the latest from Lake of the Ozarks.
Hey everybody, it's Jack Uxa here with your Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. It's mid-June. Things have warmed up a lot here lately. Fishing has gotten a lot better since our last report. The water level's been stable, which is nice. It kind of come up and down a little bit here lately, but for the most part, it's a full pull, 659, which is nice. The water level has been stable, and we haven't had as many big cold fronts lately, so that's been helping the fish feed. There's still a few fish spawning in the back of the coves. They're still trying to finish that up, particularly for the bass fishing. I've been trying to move out deeper and fishing those shallow ledges on the first shallow ledge, basically. There's some fish that are out deeper than that even, but they've been a little inconsistent for us, especially for my fishing guide customers. But overall, the fishing's gotten a lot better. Water temperatures in the mid-70s now. Feels great. Just good report overall. The fish are really kind of focused in on more feeding now versus the last few months. They've been trying to have a spawn, and it kind of got messed up with all the cold weather we were having. They had some spawns, but they were just not normal, and so it was a very prolonged spawn. And now they're more interested in feeding. They've been eating a lot of small minnows. This is a 3.5 inch swimmer. That's been a pretty good bait for us lately. It's easy to throw. That one in particular I showed you there has got a real heavy head, and it's made to go fast. The water level's cleared up, and they've got no problem chasing down a bait right now. Topwater bite's been there, particularly early and late. Man, we had a spot a couple nights ago where I had this young man out. I don't know, he was probably 12 years old or so, and it's kind of hard for them to work a plastic worm, and so they were just throwing a topwater, and man, he had some 3 or 4 pounders. It was great. He was so spoiled. We also got into a school of white bass, which is a lot of fun. The white bass, catfish have really started to turn on here lately. I haven't really talked about the white bass or catfish, at all this spring, just because we weren't catching that many. Well, now they're really biting. In fact, if you're coming down here for a vacation, a lot of people are starting to do their planning for their summer vacation. You can catfish just about anywhere right now, in the back of coves, on the main channel. If I'm really going to target blue catfish, I'm going to catch some bluegills and I'm going to use them as bait. And there's one particular type of bluegill called a green sunfish. It's a type of bluegill with a larger mouth, and they got little blue streaks on their face, and they're really aggressive little guys too. They eat just about anything. They eat a little crappie jig, they'll eat a night crawler, they eat a lot of crawfish, which is one of the reasons why I encourage people to use them as bait, because the less green sunfish we have in the lake, the better. They eat a lot of the bass crawfish, and that's not good. So we need to get rid of those green sunfish. And really, they last on your hook a lot longer than a shad does. Some people, throw a net and catch some shad, and that's fine. It works. You can also go up to the tackle stores and buy some skipjack. There's nothing wrong with that. Skipjack are a little hard to catch. There's one spot below Bagnell Dam you can catch them at, but it's kind of a pain to go catch them, so it's easier to go buy them. But like I said, if I'm really going to target catfish, I'm going to use fresh, cut up green sunfish, something in 2-3 inches long. You could throw them out there live and whole. If you were looking for flathead catfish, that's probably the best thing to do. But we've got a ton of blue cats in here, and there's something about when it gets hot that they just seem to get active, and it's gotten hot here lately. In fact, yesterday it was like 100 degrees, and I was out there for like at least 11 hours on the water, and several hours of doing office work yesterday too. So it's a good time of year to go catfishing. It's a good time of year to go bass fishing. It's a good time of year to go white bass. What you won't hear me talking a lot about is crappie right now. You can still catch them. Particularly the trolling bite has gotten really good for them. But the problem with the trolling is that you put a lot of your fish in the live well, and they don't do so good in the live well. You can catch them in other ways too. There's a lot of crappie on the points right now, and they're fun to catch. We'll catch some of them, but generally speaking, we're doing a lot of catch and release for the crappie. It's just not really what I like to do this time of year. Because the cooler months, I love crappie fishing, but the bass, that's really what most people hire me for. That's what I can help out the most with is bass fishing. And it's been good. It's been fun. The various plastic worms have been working. One of the worms that Tackle HD sells is this big, what we call a ribbon tail worm. This one is a June bug. And I had it on a Texas rig. This is about a 4/0 EWG style hook. This has been catching some nice fish. I had an older gentleman in my boat the other day. That just fit him perfectly. Some lures fit certain people really well. Texas rigs are kind of an overlooked rig anymore. Back in the 80s and 90s, they were super popular. Everybody threw them. And for the last, say, decade, they've kind of been forgotten about. And Texas rigs are easier for people to set the hook on versus a shaky head. And, a lot of our fish are down there, pretty deep water. And so an average hook set is not adequate. You depending on what's going on and how you're fishing, you got to set the hook really hard. And for some fishermen, that's hard to do. A Texas rig is a little easier. And we're throwing on a pretty lightweight, like a 5/16 ounce weight, not a 1/2 ounce weight. And that's just a fun thing that gets overlooked, I think, on this lake. It goes through brush piles better than anything else, really. You can choose to peg it if you'd like to. I prefer not to peg it unless I'm flipping a dock. And, lately it's been just on points, just inside the points. Also has been working. If I can find a little bit of brush down there, some days they really like the brush. But for the most part, I've just been fishing a lot of points. Fishing a lot of bluff end points. Some bluffs have been working. And, if you're not catching them, keep moving because they're biting now. This is their time where they're really happy. We've probably only got about 8 or 9 tournaments a week right now, which is a lot less than what we were dealing with. And they're smaller tournaments too, which is, in the spring and in the fall, we have to deal with some really big tournaments, and, that makes a big difference. In fact, most of the bass we're catching now have got some signs where they've been caught and released here recently, so it's always a good idea to release your bass. There's plenty of bass to be caught at farm ponds, or, go up north and you want to kill bass up there, go for it. Or if I'm taking people out and they want to keep some fish, I'll be glad to take them out after, white bass, catfish, or crappie. Those fish we can eat too, but, we always catch and release the largemouth around here, unless something drastic has happened where, like, a fish has died because he took a bait too deep. But, we are seeing a little bit of that right now where the fish are actually feeding and really taking the bait pretty deep to where they're potentially bleeding a little bit. So, just be careful with them. I keep pliers at the front of the boat. I keep them at the console area. I keep them easily accessible to where we can catch them, take care of that fish, put them back as unharmed as possible. I also have a little tool here. This little thing, hopefully you can see that little hook on there. That's a handy little tool. It works great for getting out deep hooked fish, particularly for your smaller hooks, like your little 1/0s, or maybe a 2/0, 3/0 at the most. And there's a time of the year where we do a fair amount of drop shot fishing. The drop shot fishing hasn't really taken off yet, in my opinion. You can catch some fish on it, but it's catching a lot of smaller bass right now. So it's not really the time for it, but you know, it'll come at some point this summer. And you know, a little 1/0 hook tends to get swallowed a little bit more by the bass than like the 3 or 4/0 hooks. But it's just been good fishing lately. Water temperatures in the mid 70s. They're chasing bait fish right now. Swim baits have been working good for the bass. Keep a top water handy. If they're not interested in that, get your old Texas rig out with your big 10-inch or 12-inch ribbon tail worm. This color is June bug. It seems like that's been an awfully good color for me lately. And just, you know, this is a time of year where there's going to be a lot of vacationers. There's going to be a lot of people that really don't know what they're doing on the water. Just this afternoon, I was trying to put the boat on the trailer at PB2, and you know, this lady in the wave runner, you know, she didn't know how to run it, and so, you know, you just give them a wide wide berth. Don't let them get too close to you, because they will run into you now. And you know, it's been so hot lately too. Bring your sunscreen. You know, I've got, you know, I'll wear these hoods here. These things have saved my butt a lot. Drink your waters. You know, the bluegills are biting. You know, if you got a kid, just about every dock on Lake of the Ozarks has got a school of bluegills biting on it right now. Use your hooks that are really small, like the smallest ones you can get from the tackle stores or Walmart or wherever you buy your just general generic hooks. Most of them are too big, so use your smaller ones with the extra long shank. You can use a variety of bait, really. You can use hot dog, night crawlers, you know, whatever to catch bluegills. They're easy. They don't get all that big out here on Lake of the Ozarks, and that's okay too, because you just take that smaller bluegill, cut it into little smaller pieces, and you can turn that bluegill into a catfish pretty easily. And catfish are biting right now, so if you're going to be just, you know, recreational fishing off your dock, throw it out in deep water, and you know, you should be able to catch them pretty easily. If you're actually going out specifically fishing for them, look for your 25-foot points, you know, where you got like a flat in that 25 to 35-foot zone, and they're biting pretty good. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Lay off the crappie right now. Capitalize on the white bass and the catfish and the largemouth. They're doing really good right now. And just be careful with the heat and humidity. If you want to go out early in the morning, you know, you can be on the water by 6 a.m. easy. If you want to push it, you can be on the water by 5 a.m. And then once again, it's getting dark about 9 p.m. And right now we've got this full moon. So what that means is the evening bite has been better than the morning bite. And that'll flip-flop here pretty soon, where the morning bite is a little bit better than the evening bite. It's certainly cooler in the mornings, and there's less boat traffic in the mornings. So keep that in mind. And it really, in general, by Lake of the Ozarks standards, we're not seeing the boat traffic we normally see. This extremely high gas prices, you know, it's keeping some people off the water, you know, particularly during the week. You'll see it. On the weekends, you won't see it as much because there's just a million people here. You know, I'm not complaining too much. I mean, it's been a little bit more tolerable than normal. Still don't like the high gas prices, but at least the boat traffic has been more, you know, reasonable, we'll call it. So good luck, guys. Tight lines, everyone. And if anybody's looking for a fishing guide, I'm pretty booked up for a little bit, but I do have some other fishing guides that I talk to on a regular basis, and I could put you in touch with them. Or if you're looking to go, say, you know, the next couple weeks are booked pretty solid, but towards the end of the month, and you know, going past 4th of July, then my schedule opens up some more. So my phone number is 573-434-2570, or check me out on the web. It's fishinglake@theozarks.com. Tight lines, everyone.
Now we bounce over to Truman Lake for a fishing report courtesy of Fish 30 and Dave McCormick.
Well, welcome back. It's a Truman Lake fishing report. I'm Dave. If you haven't checked me out on YouTube, Fish 30, 106 tournament videos, a lot of them on Truman Lake. I spend way too much time on that lake, I'll have you know. So This last weekend we fished in an event, the Joe Bass. Came in 9th place. Really didn't have the finish we really were looking for. We did have a 554. A couple fish got away from us. That's how it rolls. We actually had almost 14 pounds and only 4. So the lake has toughened up a little bit. The water is now falling though, but that is a real difference maker, because while the water was rising, we were struggling just to catch keepers, any keepers. And now, once the water starts falling, it tends to position the fish a little more outside of the cover or right on the cover as a current block. So that's what's happening. The lake is falling. And I'm going to tell you, maybe some guys haven't figured it out yet, but the topwater baits have started. Yeah, the old Chapo, the Popar, Poppin' Frog, all kinds of stuff is working. You know, so you got the BFL and you got the Joe Bass. So we've had a little bit of pressure on the lake, and we really have noticed, and I would tell you that this is not just a general fishing report. This is a good idea to keep in mind when you're a tournament angler and you're going to a lake that's having a lot of pressure. We could only get these fish to bite on smaller baits. This is a little beaver bait in a black and blue color, very popular, but had to be on the lighter weight. Had to be like on a 5/16 ounce or a 3/8 ounce weight. There are some fry. There are some fish that have spawned in this high water, and they've gotten their young and off, and they're very aggressively guarding them. Anytime that happens, I'm going to tell you that it doesn't really matter what brand the little straight tail worm is, but I kind of prefer a green pumpkin and dip dye the tail chartreuse to give it a little, green-eared sunfish look. Unless the water's kind of dirty, I can't see a foot, I might change that to a June bug color or something dark. But it's kind of a last-ditch resort this time of year. I am putting it on a 1/4 or a 3/16 ounce weight and dropping it around the bushes, not necessarily inside the bushes, but around the bushes. And I also am paying attention to the outside bush. That's so important, gang. The outside bush is your new point. When the water's got twice as much water as it should have, some of the normal points aren't really effective until the water's a little lower. So sometimes those outer bushes or clusters of outer bushes become your point. So check that out. It's gonna be busy this weekend. It's warm. Hydrate. Drink your Gatorade water. Stay hydrated. Take a kid fishing. We'll see you next week.
Now we throw it over to Matt Fielder for this week's look at Tablerock Lake.
Hey guys, it's Matt Fielder with MJF Guide Service and Modern Outdoor Tackle, giving you your mid-June fishing report presented by Tackle HD. The lake level is 919.81, and the water temperature is between 81 to 83 during the day, so it's climbing up. The core's really dropping the water, so for the guys that like to flip, that bite's kind of going away. The fishers are going to start to move offshore. So, but in the morning, you can still get a really good topwater bite going. I know, some people say, oh no, there's no topwater bite, but I've been catching a lot on the topwater early in the morning still. The earlier in the day, I like to throw a moving bait. So either a spook or a whopper plopper or a surge shad. Those are really, really good baits to be thrown in the morning. You can also throw the Tackle HD Worldwide Buzzer or any of your favorite buzz bait that you can find. As the morning gets later, around that 8 o'clock mark, I kind of have to pick up a popper to get kind of a couple more bites. But around that 8 to 9 o'clock mark in the morning, that topwater bite and that real shallow bite really starts to go away unless it is cloudy. Once the sun gets up, those fish, they start really moving offshore. So you'll see them off to the sides of where you were catching them on in the morning and chasing those shad that they were eating up shallow. And you can get out there and, throw a swim bait at those, or, whatever your favorite thing is to throw at those schooling fish before they move out maybe to main lake points. With that being said, a lot of times when I'm catching these topwater fish, there could be some docks nearby, and you can, cast these baits alongside the dock and get a couple more bites early, and then they'll probably move to points or go out and suspend over long tapering points. That's where the drop shot comes in handy. Sometimes I'll get out there and sit, 25 feet deep, but the bottom is actually 40 feet. So they'll be suspended, and the drop shot's a great way to catch those fish. I mean, you just look at them on your electronics, see, okay, they're at 25 feet. You'll just pitch your bait out there and set it at the 25 feet depth. There could be some that are, sitting at 30 feet, but if the majority of them are at that 25 foot deep, the ones that are in the 30 will come up and get it. A lot of times I like to keep it over their head anyway, and they'll come up and, get your bait, and they'll catch some fish that way. Another way to catch some right now is actually on the bottom. That for me right now, it seems to be that 20 to 40 foot range. I know I just said those fish were suspended on 40 foot, but it's summer, it's getting hot. They'll be on the bottom too, especially your smallmouth. They'll be on the bottom. If you want to catch some big smallmouth, drop a bait to the bottom. This 3/4 ounce football jig. If you have the patience, really throw that Pee Wee football jig, get it on the bottom, and slowly drag it down. I mean, it takes a lot of patience because it is a little tiny bait, but if you can get one down there and you have the patience for it, you can catch a lot of fish doing it that way. For the largemouth that were up in the bushes, now they're going to be starting to find some brush. This Tackle HD Hog Monster, it's a 12-inch worm. I've been catching a lot of fish on it. It's got a really unique tail design that flutters as it goes down, and I seem to actually get a decent amount of bites, because I think it's different than other worms. So you may want to check one of these worms out. Tail's a little bit unique, and it has a really nice fluttering action as it goes down. But as we get throughout the summer, this is going to become more and more and more of a player for big bites during the summer. A worm is a standard in the summertime. One of my favorite ways to catch some fish during the summer is actually throwing a flutter spoon. You'll get out over either suspending fish. You may fish docks, like we talked about earlier. You can find them on your electronics, or you can just go flip docks. I mean, that's a really easy way if you don't have electronics to get a lot of bites or some really quality bites during the summer, either with electronics or without it. You can just go flip docks. The better ones seem to be, either out over, some deeper water, main lake or isolated docks. Longer docks seem to be better for me. So you may need to check that out and get out there, get a big stick and some big line and flip this around. If you're fishing schooling fish, I mean, you can throw this flutter spoon at the schooling fish, but I don't like to throw this when they're really, really deep. I prefer to stick to the just the jigging spoon. It gets to them a little bit quicker, and those fish seem to move a little bit faster, so I want to get that bait right to them. They'll be chasing shad, or they may just be sitting there, but getting this bait, to that 50 foot mark, sometimes, 70, 80 foot, depending on, a lot of times that boat traffic may drive them deeper in the day. So getting this bait down to them is going to be a huge key. So that's when I'll switch over to the jigging spoon, is when, they're actually deeper, and then a little bit shallower with the flutter spoon. Another great way to catch some of those same fish is by throwing this Demiki Vault. It's a really good bait. You can throw it in the same areas, you can yo-yo it back to you. You can straight vertical and just jig it up and down. I prefer the yo-yo effect. I seem to catch a lot more fish that way. But those are some really great patterns that are working for me right now. And if you want to catch some fish, pick up some of these baits and get out there and catch you some fish. So until next time, thank you.
Tyler Cokley from Chum Boys Outdoors. Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Good, man. Where are you at right now?
Just at my place here in Union.
Okay,
Missouri.
so Union, Missouri.
Yeah.
So a lot of people watching are familiar with you from both YouTube and Instagram, where you go by Chum Boys Outdoors. Where did that name come from? And is Chum Boy you? Is it a collective?
So the idea there was I kind of wanted something that I've never seen before, and
Okay.
so I kind of had a few ideas and started Googling stuff and found kind of information on some other names that I had ideas for. And then this one I couldn't find anything, so I was like, well, we'll go ahead and go with that. And then
Yeah.
went ahead and went with Chum Boys in case I brought some other people aboard, and just kind of thought it was a cool name. And chum like you chum the waters. So
Absolutely. So you are pretty much a creek and stream guy. You do a lot of kayak fishing. How did fishing start for you? Like, when was this something you've been doing since you were a little kid?
yeah, so my dad, he started taking me fishing when I was real little, and just pond stuff like that, and pretty much starting off with catfish, just sit there on the bank with a little bobber and some stink bait, pretty much, and
Yeah.
that's how it started. And I kind of was the one that started seeing bass in the water and got interested into that, and my dad really didn't know a whole lot about it, and so I kind of just started bass fishing by myself. And I actually didn't start to get into the creek scene and river scene a whole lot until probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then once I started that and figured out what kind of fish were around here in the creeks and the rivers, I kind of got addicted to that and been chasing that ever since, pretty much.
Gotcha. And then when did the YouTube channel, creation kind of enter the mix?
I was watching a few of the big people out there, and kind of thought it'd be a cool idea just to see if I could do it, make videos kind of for myself, and then started the Instagram there, got a little bit of traction, and then decided to do the YouTube thing, which has been a little more difficult, but it's still coming along slowly but surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And had you had any experience with, camera work, editing, that stuff, or were you picking that up along the way?
Absolute zero knowledge. Like, not even a little bit.
Right.
So, I mean,
It's funny because I think I know of little, but it's funny. I mean, some of the most successful people you see on any of these platforms, you can tell, like, they just started messing with cameras weeks ago, and it's not about that anymore. It's about just cool content. Yeah, which you're putting out plenty of. It's really cool to see, man.
Yeah.
One of I think it is at this moment, as of today, your most watched video on YouTube. It's a YouTube short, one of these quick little videos, and it's titled "Best Lure for Big Smallmouth?" ? And that has, I don't know, creeping up on like 30,000 views. So let's kind of start with that topic right there, because I know you're a big smallmouth guy.
Yeah.
You've got a huge reputation now as a smallmouth fisherman. What are your top 5 lures for catching smallmouth in this area here, Missouri?
So kind of do a little bit of numbers and size, I guess.
Okay.
So numbers, and I've talked to quite a few people. The fluke here lately, haven't filmed a whole lot with it or done a whole lot with it yet, but the fluke, just nose hook with a little drop shot hook, nose hook that, and you almost work it just like a jerk bait. You just twitch it a few times, let it sit, twitch it. And as far as numbers goes, I don't think you can beat that. I went and did a 20-mile float, and I don't know, we caught a handful of fish, but I mean, that's a lot of water to cover in one day. And then we went and did like a little 6-mile float, and I caught 10 times the amount of fish throwing that fluke around. So
Really?
yeah.
Interesting. Specific colors?
Pretty much just a white or shad color. Most of the time I'm throwing like a white or silverish color. So that'd be one for numbers. And then top water, I would have to go with, being on the river, I like top water walking bait. So any kind of walking bait, I would throw the worldwide buzzer in there, but I don't throw out on the lakes. It'd be a buzz bait for sure. But here on the rivers and the creeks and stuff, I just like a topwater walking bait. I throw the mega bass. I think it's the quick walker or the dog X. Throw that a lot, and just imitates a dying bait fish kind of on the surface. And the smallmouth really seem to like that. So,
what are some of your absolute, number one go-tos from the Tackle HD lineup?
the Tackle HD lineup would be for the rivers, 100% that the square bill. I like throwing the crankbaits and stuff in the water or in the rivers for sure. Creeks is a little tougher to throw the crankbaits because usually it's kind of more close quarter type stuff. So yeah, like bombing a crankbait out and cranking it back to you. But even the crankhead and the square bill both work very great. If you're fishing some real shallow riffles or whatever, I throw the square bill around because it don't dive as deep. And then real early spring, whenever they're kind of in the deeper current scenes and stuff, I will get out the crankhead and definitely find some fish on that thing. Went around throwing it a lot with some buddies this spring.
Absolutely. Down in mid-Missouri, where you're at, the Walmarts from there down through Arkansas now have a couple of our products, and it's the ones you see on these displays behind me. These exact displays are in Walmarts right now, like 120 Walmarts, and it's the high def craw, the Helgramite, the 5-inch Helgramite, and then the 3.5-inch Nedmite. And I tell you, those Helgramites have been major players for me this year. Just killing it.
That's a kind of another numbers bait. I was going to talk about the crawl and the Helgramite. So either one of those on a jig head or a shaky head, and I mean it's hard to beat that for just going out and finding fish. Like if I'm at a new creek, I don't know if there's fish in there, I usually grab the crawl and go throw that around because usually those fish can't resist that. So
this is the one. This color right here.
Okay.
Green pumpkin orange. I've been slaying with this thing. And I'll even, I think sometimes it's out of laziness, I'll just wacky rig it. I'll just hook it right in the middle and just twitch it around and they blow up on it. But so look for those things for you guys out Tyler's way or down, southern Missouri into Arkansas through Walmarts. So so you've given us a couple for when you're looking for big numbers. What about when you're trying to get that trophy size?
If anybody's watched any of my stuff, I throw a lot of the that mag draft, the big line through swim bait. And it's just 6-inch soft swim bait. Pretty much throw it everywhere. Heavy current, calm pockets, still water. I mean, if there's smallies around, they usually doesn't really matter what type of water they're sitting in. I've caught them out of just about everywhere on that thing. And then some bigger glide bait type stuff, some bluegills and shad glide baits. But I mean, obviously, throwing some bigger baits, you wean through a lot of the small fish, so you're definitely not going to catch as many. But if you're just going to look for those 1 or 2 bites, that mag draft definitely gets some big ones.
Do you ever travel outside of Missouri for fishing purposes?
So not really, because I just work in a full-time job and stuff. I don't really get a ton of time. But we went to Tennessee a few months back, fished a tournament in Lake Chickamauga, pre-fished for a day, and then fished the tournament that following day. And that was definitely an experience. It was a totally different world there.
Just being in on a body of water that you're not familiar with, or the tournament scene?
Just the body of water we were on. It's on that Tennessee River, so it's definitely a lot different fishing. Fish are out there on the deep ledges and grass edges and stuff, and just not something I'm too familiar with. And we just didn't find any fish really until the last 30 minutes of the tournament, so didn't do too well.
What types of tournaments do you like getting yourself into?
I've fished quite a few bigger tournaments this year. I think I like the bigger ones just because I don't have every day to go fish them. So if I'm going to fish one, I feel like I want to fish a bigger one.
Yeah. And chance at really getting a nice check out of it.
Yeah, and we've done well. Had some hang-ups. Should have placed top three or four in one of these last Anglers in Action, but had 2 fish die on us. So Yeah, it's the
So
first hot
for
day
people
of it.
that don't tournament fish, explain how that works at judging. If you show up and one of the fish you're trying to weigh has died, does it not count at all? Or is there a penalty?
Usually if you have one dead fish, it is just a 1 pound penalty for that dead fish you weigh. But
Okay.
then I think tournaments are different. Sometimes 2 fish are disqualified, or it's another additional pound or 2 pounds or whatever it is. But I think that one might have been disqualification. But
Interesting. And it makes sense that they do that because
yeah,
otherwise, how do
we
you know a
felt
guy
horrible about it anyway. We're
15 week
like,
ago?
we don't want
Yeah.
to. Yeah, we're like, we can't even throw these back and try it again. We felt bad about it, so we just kind of let them go, and went on with our day. Just
Yeah.
said, well, we'll take the loss here and just move on.
Right. Right.
Is it?
Is tournament fishing something you see yourself getting more and more involved with?
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Bought a boat, so waiting to get some repairs done on that. Just happened
Yeah.
to run into some problems with it, but yeah, I got a lot of buddies with boats too, and they're big into tournament fishing, so probably see myself doing that. I really planned on doing some of the river tournaments out of the kayak this year, and just been dealing with a lot so far, and just haven't been able to make it out to one yet. But hopefully, at some point this year, I'll be on the river fishing some of them tournaments. They're like an online format, so kind of check in online. You get a number that day, and then you post the picture of your fish on the board. It has to be a certified catch board, and you post a picture, your 5 biggest fish, uh, with the number that they give you, and you have like a little tag or have it written down somewhere, and then
Right.
they go off length on those, not weight. So
Okay. All right. I wondered how
yeah,
they were.
they're usually a lot longer. I think they're like 12-hour tournaments. I think they usually go like 6 to 6.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you just submit your pictures, and I think they actually just pick out your 5 biggest, or your 5 biggest show up for them or something like that.
Very cool. What's the best prize money that you've taken away in a fishing tournament to date?
Uh, Probably combined. We split it. I think combined probably around 1,000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We went and entered 2 tournaments. There's 2 tournaments going out the same boat ramp. So we entered both of them and then weighed our fish in one tournament. And then you go over the other one and weigh them in over there. And we got, I think, first and third or first and fourth or something like that.
That's wild.
Yeah. So that was a good day. But
That's fantastic. What's something, for the person out there watching who's never done a tournament, what's something you wish you knew about tournaments before you got started? Something now that you wish you knew going in.
just go fish them and don't make a big deal about it.
Really?
Because it seems like it's overwhelming, but it's really not. I mean, everybody there is laid. I mean, they're all fishermen. They're just laid back, and usually it's a lot of cool guys just hanging out, and nobody really. I mean, unless it's for real big money, nobody's taking it super serious. So, I mean, they're usually just there to have fun. You can get started by doing some smaller, like local type tournaments. I mean, I still fish every Wednesday. We'll be fishing these river tournaments, and there's usually only like 6 to 10 boats in them.
Really?
So it's
With
usually
prize money, what? Prize money for if you win something like that? A couple $100.
I think the first Wednesday we fished, we missed last Wednesday. The first Wednesday was, I think, 300 something. And then we won big fish for, I forget what it was, 100 something probably.
A lot of the content that you're putting out there, and I know some of the tournaments you're doing are kayak based. You're a kayak fisherman, which is something that I've been interested in for a while. I don't live near any, I guess what I would say, accessible water that would be good for kayaking. So for me to get a kayak, it's like I'm going to have to strap this to the roof of my car and drive 45 minutes,
Yeah.
to find a good spot to really to use it at. So I've been kind of hesitant, but I was just up in northern Michigan on a vacation, and this Airbnb we were at had some that you could use. We knew that going in, so I took my fishing gear and finally got to do some kayak fishing, and I absolutely loved it. So now I'm determined I'm getting a kayak for fishing, but I learned some things real quick. This was just a like a recreational kayak. It was not a fishing kayak.
Yeah.
So
it was flat, like a completely flat top, but I wasn't raised up at all. Which I was like, okay, now I understand why that's a big deal. Why you want the sit atop? It just makes everything so much easier. And also storage.
Yeah.
You know, there was no actual dry storage. It was just like the indented area at the front and back that has the crisscrossing bungee cords. And
Hmm.
it's like that was fine. I you know, I threw my tackle under there, but like there wasn't anywhere to even set your paddles when you weren't using them. There wasn't like something to clip them into.
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of like laying it across my
Yeah.
lap. So, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was tricky. So I was like, okay, now when I see these tricked out fishing kayaks, I completely understand every bit of it now. It's about storage and positioning yourself better so you can
Hmm.
just be more agile up there. You know, what are some things that you would definitely recommend to people that are getting into kayak fishing, you know, or looking to buy that first kayak for fishing that, you know, you got to make sure you have this and that.
So probably comfort it would be number one, just so you're able to be out there for longer and you're
Yeah.
not moving around uncomfortable all day long.
Right.
I have a Vibe Shearwater 125. It's a
Okay.
pretty big kayak, pretty heavy duty. But I mean, I can stand up on that thing and walk around on it pretty much.
Really?
And so that's really nice, especially whenever I start throwing these little bigger baits, or if there's some bed fish or some fish shallow. You know, sometimes if I'm on the river floating, I'll stand up and just look around for a couple hundred yards just to see where the fish are set and what they're doing. But yeah, you mentioned the paddle thing. It's definitely nice to have something right there on your side. I got a little bungee, just a little hook, basically.
Mhm.
And I just throw it down there, strap it on, especially in the rivers whenever we have to get out sometimes and pull around some trees or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a fish finder or anything like
No, I don't.
that?
I'm mostly on rivers, so something like that isn't as beneficial really, unless I was going out fishing like big wintering holes. But
Gotcha.
yeah, fish finder wouldn't really help me too much on the river.
Now, do you pull yours with a trailer or do you throw it in the back of a truck?
I just put it in my truck bed, put the tailgate down, and put it
Yeah.
back there and let it lay flat.
That's my other thing. I don't have I don't drive a truck.
Yeah.
I have a you know, medium-sized SUV that doesn't, you know, the roof is not equipped for it. So I'm going to be like laying down pool noodles and, you know, just running the straps through my
Yeah,
windows. And I guess that's fine. I guess
yeah.
that's, I
They
guess,
sell some roof racks, I think that
yeah,
fit
I've
most
seen.
cars.
I got to get it together, man. I
Yeah.
had so much fun. I had so much fun out there. And then when you know, I didn't catch anything huge. I got a couple
Yeah.
decent largemouth bass, but they do start moving.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty still lake. They start moving you around. It's like,
Yeah.
this is
You set it on a good one, they'll move you around, then you get them next to the boat, and you're trying to grab your net, and they're just going
right.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. So as far as conditions that you like to get that kayak out there, what seems to be best when the water's really high and it's really flowing, or is that kind of too
So
dangerous?
yeah, so everybody's different. I mean, as long as you feel comfortable and wear your life vest and you're safe about it, and the river's
Mhm.
not out of the banks and completely chocolate milk. I mean, there's always fish biting even when the water is like that. But I mean, I like it when it's real low, like
Really?
summer months and super low, because then I kind of know right where those fish are going to be. And there's a bunch of real shallow water. They're not going to be in there. Once it gets a little bit deeper, usually they're sitting right there, or they're going to be in the deeper current trying to stay cool out of the summer heat. So I like going when it's real hot and real low. But
Interest. I like that tip right there. When it's real low, you know they're not going to be in that water that's less than a foot deep.
yeah,
You can maneuver through there, but it's
so,
when you start seeing those deeper pockets.
mm-hmm. They're usually stacked up right there for you.
Awesome.
Definitely wear the life jacket and be safe about it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
What are some other things? What are some other things that you've, you know, like not specifically kayak, but things that you found like I got to have it out there with me on the kayak?
anytime that water is like, I don't know, 60 degrees or lower, or the air temps are around 60 or lower, I'll have a dry bag with extra clothes in it. Got to have extra clothes whenever it starts getting colder out. Stuff can go south pretty quick. I got a buddy that guides on the river, and he had a girl fall in, tip her kayak twice in one float, and it wasn't even that cold out, but she started getting signs of hypothermia. So they had to run her up the hill to a house, and get on the phone with some people and get her some help. So, I mean, especially after hearing that, I'm always double checking, make sure I got extra clothes. And I mean, you don't even think about it. You don't think about it when it ain't that cold, but it don't take a whole lot to get that going.
That never would have crossed my mind. That's brilliant. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Great nugget. So for anybody out there, if you're getting into kayak fishing, change your clothes, dry clothes, especially when it's a little bit chilly. Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing with social media and YouTube. So you've got very solid followings. If I'm overstepping my bounds here, let me know. But is your YouTube, have you got it to the point that it's monetized?
Yes.
Okay. Was that your goal, or was that something that just kind of?
Yeah, it was. I knew even when I get it monetized, you don't make a whole lot from there. So, I mean, it was kind of just a milestone to hit. It wasn't like something I was shooting for to quit my job or something, but it was
It'd be nice, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a milestone to hit, and then pays for some gas money and stuff, making trips, because I usually don't fish too close to home. Anytime I'm fishing, I'm usually driving at least 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And then when I'm going to the lakes to fish,
expensive hobby.
2 hours.
So what do you find when you're posting these fishing videos or figuring out what you're going to put up next? What do you find really works and versus what doesn't? Do people, do they want to see just big catches, or are they trying to learn from you, like how to be a better river fisherman?
Well, if you want to just give your spots away, you can post your spot where you're at. That'll do really well, but then it'll blow your spot up.
I've heard that's a major reason why so many people watch fishing videos, especially knowing that, I know that guy's in Union, Missouri, or Sullivan.
I've had
trying to figure out where the heck is he.
Couple videos do well. Like, even if I post, obviously if I post at I'm at Lake the Ozarks, and ain't that big of a deal because it's a huge lake, but posting locations of stuff does really well, but you got to be careful about it, not to ruin some of the smaller bodies of water. And then definitely informative stuff does well, and then the bigger the fish, usually better it does. And having the good thumbnail on there, and
thumbnail thing,
still trial and error for me,
Yeah, it's the thumbnail thing. I mean, for anybody watching, think about it. It's what catches your eye, and what's that? And you'll hover over it for a second and see, and okay, it's window shopping. YouTube is really all about window shopping. Of course, there's the channels and the creators that and you'll watch anything they put up. But for anything else, for creators you've never seen before, if the thumbnail doesn't get you, you're never going to see their stuff. So it's a weird deal.
Tournament videos do well. People like the competitiveness of it. And definitely stuff on the bigger lakes has been doing better for me, just because a lot more people fish Lake of the Ozarks than Ozark streams,
Yeah. One thing that I've found myself, actually, as I was preparing to have this conversation with you, something I noticed that attracts me to some of these videos, and you've had this happen, is where you'll be out fishing somewhere and you have a run-in with somebody.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's a landowner, maybe it's another fisherman, and things get a little bizarre. I watched one of your videos today, and you were on a stream, and most of your video was just you fishing on the stream and catching some fish, and everything was cool. And then as you're I guess you still had your GoPro rolling as you were walking back to your truck. You're walking down some gravel road in the woods somewhere, and you get approached by somebody. And it's a gentleman who says, "Hi, I'm the landowner here." And I was like, "Oh, what do we got here?" And the guy couldn't have been nicer, but he was kind of letting look, it used to be an absolute free for all out here on this property, and I bought it and learned that, and I've had to run off so many people. I got tweakers running around out here.
That's the problem with all these.
Yeah, he's like, you got to understand, man. I can't just let anybody be out here. And then the guy ended up saying, look, man, you seem nice. Here's my phone number. If you ever want to come back out here again, just call me ahead of time, and I'll tell you where to park so your car's not in danger. And I was like, oh, well, that's absolute best case scenario. But I mean, I'm sure you've had some run-ins that did not go.
Yeah, there's been a few that I didn't post anywhere just because it got a little ugly. But
Yeah.
as long as you're accessing legally and you're in the water, you're fine. And I've talked to multiple conservation agents about it and stuff. But I mean, as long as you're not parking or entering the creek illegally, you're fine. And some people still don't understand that. And I mean, sometimes you just got to say, all right, you're right. And then just get out of there. Cause I mean, you don't want anything to happen or them start getting wild on you.
So, okay. So you've spoken to people. So the laws, and I thought that was it. If it was I'm going to say the word wrong, but navigable waterway, that waterway itself, if you're in the water, is okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's that waterway cuts right through some guy's 500-acre farm.
Be just like you were on a river.
Okay, so yeah, so you can be, that thing cuts all the way through a guy's property. You're fine as long as you didn't trespass through his property to get on there or get off there.
Yeah.
Interesting, but people still don't get that at all.
No, they still don't like people there, which I understand it, but I mean,
I get it too. I wouldn't want somebody out in my backyard.
Yeah. Yep.
What's been kind of the hairiest thing that's ever happened to you out there?
Just
kind of,
just people pull up. I mean, I've had a guy pull up and just lay on his horn the whole time, and I'm just standing there like, all right. Well, I was like, and then he gets out of his truck and he just starts yelling a bunch of cuss words and stuff, and I was like, hey, don't worry, I'll just get out of here, man. It ain't even worth it. And so, I mean, usually I don't try to escalate anything. I'll go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I'll leave. Yeah. It's funny. Another hobby of mine. I'm not as involved as I used to be with it, but arrowhead hunting.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the same behavior. You're wandering down, creeks and riverbanks because that's where stuff like that is more often than not found. And I belong to some Facebook groups for that kind of stuff, and it's the same thing as people all the time having crazy run-ins, or they're following some creek and that's probably a meth lab, and then all of a sudden you start hearing warning shots fired into the air. It's like, whoa, so for anybody out there, be careful. I mean, you don't know what you're walking into, literally, or who you're going to encounter out in the woods. That leads me to another one of your videos, which I'm going to show a clip from here, where you were, I don't know if it's somewhere you had been many a times, but you're out there just, sunken down basically in this little creek fishing, and all of a sudden you're hearing the shots coming from what seem to be two different directions, bullets whizzing over your head, and you flat out reeling it up and kind of ran into the woods and took cover here. Let's see it real quick.
Guys, there's a lot of people shooting, like right here by me somewhere. I just hear bullets whizzing by me. I don't know if you can hear them on the camera, but you can hear this.
All right, so Tyler, tell me exactly how that whole thing unfolded, and did you ever find out exactly what the heck was going on out there?
So I was walking upstream fishing, and once I got past where where they were shooting at, I heard a few gunshots. I could tell just from being around guns a lot that they were shooting over the creek. And I was like, oh man, let's keep on going. They'll probably be done by that time. I was like, maybe somebody squirrel hunting or doing whatever, I didn't know. Just kept walking up the stream, and I turned around, started coming back down. The gunshot started again, and I'm like, oh great. I was like, I don't want to get up somebody's property and go running across their field or something and have them start yelling at me now. So, but no, I don't know if there was somebody that just lives up in the woods right there and they were just shooting at stuff or what. I never really found out, but you can hear the bullets skipping off the gravel bar up in front of me, and you can hear them going through the leaves and in the woods right next to me. And I felt like I was just waiting to take one. So I kind of hunkered down, got up on the other bank, and just went running through the field over there and got out of there as quick as I could. I mean, I don't think they meant anything bad by it, but they were definitely shooting over a waterway that they should not have been.
Yeah.
And I was kind of scared. I was going to yell and say something, but I didn't know what they were up there shooting at, so I didn't want them to hear me and then start shooting my way on purpose or something.
I think I probably would have done the exact same thing. I would have buried myself, taken cover somewhere until it had been quiet for a while, and then I just would have started running in the opposite direction once a little time had gone by. Have you gone back and fished that waterway?
Yeah, like once or twice, and I always go real slow until I get up to that area, and then I'm like, all right, I haven't heard nothing yet. And I'll kind of try to squeak by through there real quick.
Oh gosh. What about the video where the property owner came out and talked to you and gave you his phone number? Have you ever called him and gone back?
No, I haven't. I mean, if it was better fishing, I might have, but no, we went there before and waited downstream, and because we'd see people park there swimming before, so I'm like, well, it was people are just allowed to park here, so that's what we did, and parked there and went downstream and kind of talked to a guy. He's like, hey, I don't really want you coming down this way. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll go back by myself next time I go, and I'll just go upstream and don't have to deal with that guy. Because, I mean, I thought I was fine parking where I was, and ended up getting back, and he come across the bridge and hit his brakes pretty hard and started yelling at me. I was like, oh, boy. And no, I got out and I talked to him and told him we'd been there before, and he was like, all right. He's like, once he found out, he's like, you seem like a pretty good dude, not somebody out here trying to cause trouble. So he was real nice after that. But yeah, most people I talk to are just real ignorant about stuff just because all the people they've had to deal with before. Like there's been creeks where the landowners have told me they've had to call and have people airlifted out that are ODing down in the creek or whatever, you know. So I mean, if I was a landowner dealing with that, I wouldn't want anybody around either.
Well, and I mean, you've probably got people out there illegally camping, which means they're probably.
I've waited past people that just have a little pop-up tent and trash everywhere, and I just kind of walk on by as quick as I can.
Exactly. Just get the heck out of there. But yeah, the littering, if they're camping, there's a good chance they're starting a fire on your property, which is another thing. I don't want somebody out in my backyard starting a fire that I don't know about, Yeah,
there are a lot of irresponsible people out there, that's for sure. Where we went and floated the other day, there was just a fire on the gravel bar still burning. They just left. Somebody did.
It's crazy. Well, you've got a lot of cool content out there, and I know that it's something that you take pretty seriously. What are you kind of looking at as, maybe your 1 to 2 year goal with the content creation stuff?
So I just started growing the TikTok too. I never really stepped into that, but then once Instagram kind of switched over to basically all they want people posting is reels now. So I was like, well, I'm basically posting TikToks on here. So hopped on over to TikTok, started posting on there too, and that's been growing pretty good for me now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know, just keep on putting out content and keep trying to grow as fast as I can, and hopefully turn it into something one day where I can do it full time.
It'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You've got a really cool channel for everybody listening. Tell everybody like what your various handles are and where they can find you everywhere.
Everything is just either Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. You can just type in Chum Boys Outdoors and it should pop up for you there.
There you go. Chum Boys Outdoors. What's the biggest smallmouth you've ever caught and weighed?
I haven't weighed because usually I'm either wading or in the kayak or whatever. But I think it's 20 and a half inches is my biggest one. And I know a lot of my buddies have caught bigger ones, so I'm still out there trying to chase that 23-inch unicorn. But there was a guy locally that just caught a smallmouth that was over 7 pounds.
I can't imagine.
So I mean, it was close. It might have actually broken the state record, but it was in that time frame where you can't keep fish on the river due to small.
Yep.
So they have I think it's a month or two where you can't keep any fish out of it. So they couldn't keep it to get it certified on a scale or anything. So he just take pictures and let it go. But yeah, you're
gonna get it, man.
There.
You're gonna get it. I know you're out there fishing. It seems like almost. I mean, if I'm to believe social media, almost every day after work, it looks like you're out there wading down a creek. I love it, man. It's fun to.
That's usually any free time. That's where it goes, is fishing or messing with some gear in the house or messing with some videos or something. So
for sure. Well, everybody watching right now, this is Tyler Cokley. He is the guy behind Chum Boys Outdoors, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Get on there, follow him, subscribe. Tyler, thanks for being so supportive of Tackle HD, and we love seeing you out there catching some fish, man. So keep up the great work.
Yep. Thank you.